Well, greetings to anybody who by some great miracle might actually hear this message. We're coming to you from the big town of Inola, Oklahoma. And for anybody who's curious, this little thing right back here, that's a Tin Man made by the senior citizens here at the Senior Citizens Center. Well, anyway, I don't want to call this a sermon today. I would just rather call it a presentation, because everything I'm about to say here is not etched in stone. I may not have everything 100% right. So, here we go. The Bible tells us that God's Word is of no private interpretation, but that doesn't stop people, does it? They go right ahead on and interpret it however they want anyway, don't they? Well, today's not going to be any different. Now, one of the most difficult things to do is to give up or let go of something that you have believed for a long time, especially if you've gotten all puffed up about it and told others that this is the way it is and that they're just a biblical novice if they don't understand it this way. Well, this presentation is the result of my having to give up one of those long-held, smarty pants beliefs, specifically the belief of when the resurrection of the saints takes place. While that question is not the entire focus of this message, the misplacement of that event affects the understanding of all the other events around it. So, let's get started. Let's turn over to Daniel chapter 12, beginning in verse 8. Daniel chapter 12, beginning in verse 8. And I heard, but I understood not. Then said I, O my Lord, what shall be the end of these things? And he said, Go thy way, Daniel, for the words are closed up and sealed till the time of the end. Many shall be purified and made white and tried, but the wicked shall do wickedly, and none of the wicked shall understand, but the wise shall understand. And from the time that the daily sacrifice shall be taken away, and the abomination that maketh desolate set up, there shall be 1,290 days. Blessed is he that waiteth and cometh to the 1,330 days. But go thou thy way till the end be, for thou shalt rest and stand in thy lot at the end of the days. So what do these days mean? What does God want us to know? Are these days consecutive, occurring, one after the other, or are they concurrent? Do they happen at the same time? Is this some sort of Bible code? Well, I think we can safely say it's not a code. Notice verse 11. From the time that the daily sacrifice shall be taken away, and the abomination that maketh desolate set up, there shall be 1,290 days. So, what is, here is the momentous event that kicks off these days, the daily sacrifices being taken away, and the abomination that maketh desolate being set up. Verse 12. Blessed is he that waiteth and cometh to the 1,330 days. It says, blessed is he that waiteth and cometh. Blessed. Well, that's good. Something good happens here. So what happens at the 1,335 days? Well, verse 13, But go thou thy way till the end be, for thou shalt rest and stand in thy lot at the end of the days. So here we see Daniel is going to die and be resurrected and stand in his lot at the end of these days. So what does lot mean? Well, it's Strong's number 1485, and the Briggs and Driver Hebrew Lexicon tells us that it means lot, portion, destiny, share in the messianic consummation. And what does consummation mean? Well, consummation means completion or fulfillment. So what is Daniel's destiny? Well, it is to rule and reign with Christ, and that begins when Christ sets his feet on the Mount of Olives and puts an end to man's rule and brings all things into subjection under his feet. But the question remains, are these days consecutive or concurrent? Concurrently, these days would last approximately 3.5 years. Consecutively, they would last 7 years. So which is it? 3.5 years or 7 years? Remember, the event that kicks off this countdown is the daily sacrifices being taken away and the abomination of desolations being set up. So turn over to Daniel chapter 9. Daniel chapter 9 And verse 27. And he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. And in the midst of the week he shall cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease. And for the overspreading of abominations he shall make it desolate, even until the consummation. And that determined shall be poured upon the desolate. Okay, Bible scholars and non-Bible scholars alike agree that 1 week here means 7 years. So the sacrifices are stopped in the middle of the week. Or when they're stopped in the middle of the week, it means 3.5 years into the covenant the sacrifices are stopped. And they are stopped for the remaining 3.5 years until the consummation or the end. So I think it is safe to say these days run concurrently, that is to say, at the same time. So from the time that the daily sacrifices are taken away and the abomination of desolations is set up until Christ sits his feet on the Mount of Olives, that whole time period lasts 1,335 days. So if we read Daniel 9:12 this way, blessed is he that waiteth and cometh to the 1,335th day, it makes a little more sense, because that is the end of the days when we will all stand in our lot with Daniel, hopefully. But what happens after the first 1,290 days? And what's going on in that 45-day period between the end of the 1,290 days and the 1,335th day? Well, turn over to Matthew 24. Matthew chapter 24, beginning in verse 15. Now, this is a great chapter if you want to know, the sequence of events at the end time, and this comes from Christ himself. So, Matthew chapter 24, beginning in verse 15. When ye therefore see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet stand in the holy place, whoso readeth, let him understand. Then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains. Let him which is on the housetop not come down to take anything out of his house. Neither let him which is in the field return back to take his clothes. And woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. But pray ye that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath day. For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. And except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. Then if any man shall say unto you, Lo, here is Christ, or there, believe it not. For there shall arise false Christs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that, if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. Behold, I have told you before. Wherefore, if they shall say unto you, Behold, he is in the desert, go not forth. Behold, he is in the secret chambers, believe it not. For as lightning cometh out of the east, and shineth even unto the west, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For wheresoever the carcass is, there will the eagles be gathered together. Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. And then shall all the scribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. So the abomination of desolation kicks off the Great Tribulation, 1,290 days. Now notice verse 29 and verse 31. This tells us the resurrection takes place immediately after the Great Tribulation. Now some will say, yes, well, this takes place when Christ descends on the Mount of Olives. Well, does it? Well, let's turn over to Revelation chapter 11. Revelation chapter 11, and we'll begin in verse 1. And there was given me a reed like unto a rod, and the angel stood, saying, Rise and measure the temple of God and the altar, and them that worship therein.